Welcome everyone back to Let's Play Advanced Tactics Gold, or the after action report of Advanced Tactics Gold on the GD 1938 scenario. So it's been quite a few months since the last video, and it's now January 1939. So we've entered a new year, and with that means that we can actually build a new factory. And I definitely plan to do that during this episode. We might not start off with it right away just because there's a lot of other stuff I want to go into. First of all, Switzerland has now entered into the war as Germany declared war on them. There's no headway yet. I think that this is all the standard borders right here, but it looks like they will be enveloped by the Axis, which seems fine to me. I mean, I don't think Germany had any great love for Switzerland, which kept them. It was just kind of a what strategic relevance is it if you're not going to go through Switzerland in order to invade France? What relevance is it that this small nation, is not backstabbing you, is going to maintain its neutrality? But yeah, on the other hand, at the same time, what harm does it do to take them over? So we have Turkey sitting pretty. Finally got them back into supply. I had some supply issues with them originally just because they weren't linked into my main. All of the cities are linked to my main headquarters, but when you get Turkey, they are on their own separate tier, and unless you link them to Stavka, they won't receive supplies because they're not linked to any production cities. So our front is pretty well established. These two hexes here technically belong to the Germans under the treaty, but they're in my territory. I don't really mind if we put troops there or not, but we have to be careful because Hungary has been taken over by the Germans. So this is a precarious situation where if we're not careful, now obviously right now it's very difficult for the Germans to move around this massive neutral territory of the Czechoslovakian, of Czechoslovakia or of the Czechoslovakians. And that's really a bonus for us. I mean, you can see the very quick movement they would have between their two different areas if they would just take over this area, which I suspect that they will do eventually, and may even be the harbinger of an invasion to come if we see that happening. So, and Yugoslavia is still neutral. A lot of these things probably are not going to be neutral by the point of attacking the Russians. So I imagine we have time, and what we're going to spend our time doing is focusing on Finland. In fact, you can kind of see, I want to go in, not out. You can kind of see we're setting up our forces pretty nicely here. What I plan to do is just put a whole lot of, we have an armor from the green guys here. I didn't know that. Still, that's the best place for the armor, so that'll stay. We're just going to overload this area with a lot of armor. And, I mean, the tactic here pretty much speaks for itself. Drive forward with 5 units of armor, which are pretty substantial combat values. Except for this one with 6 medium tanks, this one only has 58, but all the rest of them have much more than that. So, and then we also have this massive quantity of artillery stacking up on the front as well. And this just makes a whole lot of sense, I think, that you bombard the hell out of the group that you're just about to attack. And then you drive in with your, you finish off any of the survivors with your armor. And a lot of the armor I'm going to attack with is kind of my outdated stuff. I'm trying to leave in reserve, like my trucks and stuff, the things that I might need later. Like infantry gun 1s, these should be thrown into the attack. We might even do this now. Let's just get a new formation. Whose formation should this be? I've kind of been throwing everyone into this. But let's get somebody with the blue. Now, the blue is motorized. It's not going to make sense what we're going to create here if it's unless it's motorized. We will give them to the green headquarters then. 80%, 39. Okay, not to them. I need to get some staff very quickly. 80%, so 39 and 80 and 80. Okay, so it doesn't really matter between these two. Let's choose the green then. I don't know why, because it's the second army. I guess first army is quite big right now, and then second army will be also pretty big. Now we'll do the transfer here. I'm doing this because if this guy has 2 cards built up, and you don't lose those cards if you create a blank template. This does mean, however, that our troops will lose quite a bit of readiness in the transfer, but that's okay. So we're going to transfer 3 horses and these 3 infantry 1 guns, which we're not going to be as apt to use or as excited to use, considering we have infantry gun 2s, and I think we might even have, I can't remember, infantry gun, no, we only have, yeah, infantry gun 2 is the highest we go. Okay, that doesn't make sense to compare an item to itself, so let's look at the difference here. Not a huge difference. Any differences here? Nothing that I notice, nothing jumping out. PowerPoints, slightly higher supply usage. That can be significant. I don't think it'll be significant for us, but yeah, just pretty substantial increase to the combat, about a 50% increase to combat, and a proportional 50%, slightly more than 50% increase to the supply usage. Yeah, and does better than 50% against armor, which probably will end up being really important. So yeah, let's use this infantry gun 2 and not worry about the infantry gun 1s. And by not worrying about them, I mean we'll just kind of, I'll position them here for now, and we'll probably link them into a different group, one that already has infantry guns, something. Let's see, maybe this group. Nope, that's medium. I'm trying to get the medium trucks out of here. I think we're going to start making our armies not based on wheels. A lot of the motorized groups are going to be changed. And I'm going to use all these medium trucks. Hopefully we'll get a lot of artillery. Now, I'm not going to opt for artillery as our other factory, which is the big decision I have to make on this turn. So I've saved a substantial amount of political points up. I don't feel very threatened, so we are heavily focusing on political points. I'm producing probably about 80% of all my production power is going towards political points right now, which you can think of as going towards research. And, you know, this is just something that a game like Advanced Tactics Gold can't model with the complexity and the beauty of a game like Hearts of Iron. It doesn't make sense that production can be exchanged for research, but that's the way this game functions. It's basically, you can think of it as a very good strategy edition, a strategy game edition, just not a realistic one. It makes the game have a lot of fun choices. It's fun to have to choose between building troops or building research, or, building research, I guess, conducting research. However, it's just not realistic. This is not how the real world works. But it's still a decision. It makes an interesting decision for the player. So I don't disagree with it at all. Okay, why does this plus sign keep going out? Now it's not. I'm probably pressing the wrong button. All right, so what are we doing in terms of this engineer? Well, there's a lot of decisions we want to make. I've already talked about it. We basically have a tank factory. And this one, because I'm an idiot, I forgot to stop my medium tank production in the last one. So we still have 0.2 left over, and I think that there's a setting, well, actually, this is going to change even. So let's first, before we do anything, do our increases. We're going to improve quality. Mandatory, right? We have to do that. We're going to improve economy. Okay, that probably changes the thing we just looked at. And then we're going to improve a city once again. I think we're going to improve something that cannot be touched, or hopefully won't be touched by enemies. Tomsk, way over there. We're gradually just improving them. I think Omsk and Sverdlovsk have already been improved. This one's to 3, and this one's to 3. Yeah, so we've and Gorgij as well. So we already have a lot of industrial annexes improving our production capabilities. And this is all kind of scaling higher and higher with political points. So what does that mean? What do we want to talk about with that, though? We're talking about production because I'm going to talk about the factories. The question is how to allocate the political points we have remaining. And we have 200 that need to go to our factory, because it would be a waste. We have the political points to build a factory that's going to increase our production significantly. It would be a waste not to build one on this turn. So, all I wanted to talk about at first was the building of the front against Finland. And I think I'm going to draw a few of these very low troop units back, actually. Like this one for sure. I'm going to get... I know that you're reluctant to accept more troops, but I'm going to get a few, let's even say 2 of them to go into here. Because I want this and this. I want every coastline hex, at least minor, some kind of minor garrison, occupied in some capacity, so that they don't get a free landing. And even just to discourage them landing. Obviously, the places I really want to hold are like in like tiers, in fallback tiers. I want to hold this line first. Obviously, okay, the front is the first line, of course. But after that falls, we are expecting that Minsk, this fort, something here, probably this. Yeah, probably a line like this will form, and this is the crucial one. It's going to be very difficult for them to get across if we can blow that bridge and into a fort. So basically, they if we cut off the bridge here, they're going to have to either attack across the river. I mean, we don't have a fort here, but we could build one, and then we might be able to hold that like almost indefinitely. Yeah, so that would be really nice if we were able to get another fort, maybe even a fort here, and then you can really see the line developing, obviously. So that would be our second fallback tier, and then the third one is, God help us if it ever happens, but probably not until Moscow. I don't really see there's a lot of open territory here for the German tanks to use, so we'll have to be a little bit careful. Oh yeah, we have another tank unit here, so we'll get that guy moved in as well. You can only put 14, I think, counters in a hex. So let's see, can we move here? Oh, we can. So is it 16? Let's do the counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I guess it's 16 then total. In fact, let me just move this guy in and move him back out. Okay, yeah, so it's definitely 16. And we're getting towards that. Obviously, we only have 2 more units that we can put in there. I think we have enough armor put in there for now. So probably what I'll do next is have the last 2 as artillery, because artillery doesn't have a range of 2 like it previously did, which is why we're going to have to overload the fronts over here with a lot of our artillery. Now the blue motorized groups, I'm planning to move past, move into the Finnish territory through Leningrad, not through this little forest area here. What we want to pull up here is like, obviously some guns, because guns don't really need to move forward as quickly as the actual army does, especially if we have a kind of massive breakthrough. That's the goal, is that we can so overrun the first initial forces here that these forces, which are significantly weaker, lots of AT guns, that's a little troublesome. Okay, 1 AT gun here. So they have 1 AT gun of these 3 units. That might be just poor intelligence on our part, I'm not sure. But it looks like there's at least 1 AT gun. Where was it? I thought we had one over here. Maybe not. I mean, that's the ideal. So if they only have 1 AT gun and it's an AT-1, that is something I think we can handle. 320. We're looking at a combat rating of 320 against our... Well, we have 800 hit points. That means it's at least a reasonable chance we can survive. And we do 200 to artillery, so I think that's artillery, which means we should probably dispatch with that in a one-on-one fight. Yeah, 100. Yeah, so in a one-on-one, we should be able to take the AT gun. It's probably worth a lot less in terms of production points. And I think, by the way, that the best way of dealing with this Finnish force type thing is not to do what I'm doing here. I don't imagine the best way of taking over Finland is just to declare war. But that seems more fun to me. That seems more fitting the atmosphere of World War II. So that's what I plan on doing. Okay. Like the same way that I'm just 100% sure that Japan is never going to declare war on me. But yet I'm still leaving a sizable garrison out in the east. Just for fun. For like game flavor, you know? It doesn't feel right to completely abandon the east. Because it was never abandoned in real life. So, I mean, it would just be an invitation for the Japanese to invade if that had happened. So we know that there was a 2-week war or whatever between the Soviets and Japan, but it was just called off pretty quickly. Okay, so we're getting all our aircraft stacked into here. Novgorod is like the Air Force base, and we want to continue that trend actually by moving all our bombers up there. It's get our light bombers because they have less range. Is this a light bomber? This is bomber 2. Okay, so we'll move this as well. And how are we doing? We can at least get one more in there. We probably can move some bombers over here as well. And maybe we need one fighter over here. So let's just start slowly creeping some units up. I'd rather have the fighters involved actually up here and save my I-16s, even the Type 5s, which are not good. Are Type 5s better or worse than the Fighter 1? I imagine, you'd have to imagine they're better. But the only way of knowing for sure is just to do the comparison. Yeah, they are better. So that's good to see because I think Fighter 1 is probably the worst fighter in the game. So we kind of want to get rid of them, and if the Finnish have any fighters, I don't know. They didn't have much of an air force, but I think they do. They can, at least. It would not be unrealistic. I don't remember what the game actually has them have. So we're going to move a few of those forces forward. Heavy bomber, we'll just move him north to Minsk here. The range is not going to be an issue for the heavy bombers, which is why I don't need to move them all the way forward. Eventually I'm going to get these recon probably into Vilnius, but this city is still repairing. It's only at half strength right now, so we're going to wait for that. We'll wait that out. Now I've talked around the point that I want to make here, which is what factory should we build? And that depends on what we want to research. Basically what I want to do is I want to get the techs which have also just been made available to me in 1939. This is kind of the best way of thinking about it, I believe. So I've looked at it, and Fighter 4, which has now just become available, 1939. However, Fighter 97 and then Fighter 140 means essentially 240. If we did 240, we won't have enough political points left for a factory, which is 200. However, I found a way that we can compromise this. I can get Light Bomber, which is also 1939 tech, very cheap. Buy this. We build the factory, which will be an aircraft factory, of course. That's why we're talking about that. Now, what we do to start off this production is actually just build light bombers. And I think that we have the R2. There it is. So this is a decent enough light bomber for the Light Bomber 2 class. As we see, slightly better, about 20% better than the standard, and slightly weaker in terms of being able to be killed. So that's the trade-off we're facing here. It kind of works for the Russians. I mean, the Russians generally have weaker, like units that they're more throwaway, but hopefully can inflict more damage before they go. So that's what we'll be looking forward to. So there it is. There's the light bomber. These are good against infantry and stuff like that. So we might as well build a few of these before switching over to like the heavy bomber. Well, anything really after this. But I think what we'll do is probably... Oh, got some noise in the background. Sorry about that. I won't be building too many light bombers. This might be the only turn I do it. I don't know what the advantage is. But I guess we could have gotten the Bomber 3. That would have been a much better decision. And I somehow got myself down to 166. What the heck? I've messed this up. But that's okay. Oh, no. I'm fine. I already built my factory. What am I? I'm crazy. I was like, we don't have enough political points for a factory. I already built it. Okay, good. So what we might want to do then is this heavy bomber. No, the bomber 3 is 160. So this would be all of our political points. This would ruin our ability to get fighters. I think it's better to get fighters than to get bombers. So we've kind of committed ourselves to light bombers now. Maybe it was a bad decision. I don't know. Let's just compare the bombers were in question. You can do the R2 versus... I honestly don't know what the unit is for the... But we can just do a general comparison with Bomber 2? Bomber 2? Is it the Bomber 2? Yeah, so slightly... The Bomber 2 is slightly better. No, it must not be the Bomber 2. It must be the Bomber 3. Yeah, it is the Bomber 3. Okay, so that makes sense. That was way too light of a bomber. So let's do this comparison with the Bomber 3 now. I have a feeling that we're going to regret our decision quite a bit. Yeah, 50% better. And I think that this one is better against armor. That was one of the, well, proportionally not as good as I thought it would be. But still, I mean, it does something to armor. Bomber 2, well, let's actually take a look. This might be about the same. Yeah, you know, we could probably just make 2 turns of this because it's 7.5 each. Actually, our production rate keeps going up, so it'll be 2 turns, but we'll have a little bit left over, but whatever, who cares? And then we can move on to the Bomber 3. So, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, that's really all I wanted to do for this turn. We already kind of set up our road in the north. We got a few people ready to plow on in. We got some forces here, which we can probably... I know that maybe at least one of these units is going to move into the swamp, just so we can start taking the territory. It'll be annoying. I'm not even sure if we can cross this ever. We might have to wait for the other units to be gone before we take that over. But that's okay. That's something... Oh, that's right. I wanted to move one way up here. These guys are just going to be claiming territory, because I did find out that the territory doesn't ever go to you unless you just take it over by hand. And that's completely fine. It'll be no problem for us to just have some lighter divisions scurry about and take it all over once we've taken the main thing, which is Helsinki. What else do we need? I guess I am still moving some units north. Probably get this guy here. More of a established front. That's good, that's good. I don't really have many plans for the south down here. I'm going to move these guys in. I want them over here, so... Actually, maybe... Yeah, we'll probably move that guy all the way over there as well. He can just stay with the infantry. And I think that maybe we put at least one of these guys... Okay, I would say at least 2 of these guys are going to move back north to other places. So I might leave this guy here. This might be like the roadblock, the fallback point for Turkey. And these units will be distributed to other headquarters where I think that they will be more needed. So we're going to have a very significant garrison in Turkey still. Moving in 3, probably 4 troops, I'd say. Moving in 4 units. Having a good fallback, but because we put 2 in Baku. Yeah, but I don't think it'll be very difficult to hold Istanbul across this strait. So there. What else do we have to do? Maybe that's it for this episode. It's already been 20 minutes. We don't have that much to talk about. So next turn, I probably won't come back on next turn for another update. Maybe a few more months before the next update, because things are going slow right now. What I plan to do is get Fighter 3 and Fighter 4 next turn. I don't know what that'll unlock for us, but it'll unlock 1939 fighters, and those are going to be way better than the, pardon my low evaluation, but the absolute trash that we have right now, and that we can only get these Type 10s. And I don't know what we can get better than that. I don't think there was a nice 16 better than what we have now. Okay, there's a Type 24. Let's compare with this. Yeah, this is probably the Type 3. And this is already better, you can see. But, oh man, that is actually pretty good. But it'll be even better when we can get the Fighter 4, the 1939 version. And then we can just start cranking those out. Probably for the whole year, just constantly producing fighters. And then, excuse me, then once we feel like we're in a position where we can hold our own in the air war. The one thing I think is going to be very useful for us is, excuse me, unless Germany advances with air base building, they're going to have to wait for our cities to be reconstructed before they can use them completely, especially if they just shell them out. And that means that their fighter screen is going to be pretty far behind or in low readiness if they choose to move them into cities which are not completely healed. So that will give us an air advantage. We may even want to make a fighter base like over here, maybe right here, so that if we start losing Vilnius and all this, Minsk and all that, we have a little bit of fighter support, but yet it's too far away to be really used against us. No, I'm sure that that's actually close enough to be used against us. Excuse me, hold on. Always getting a frog in my throat when I'm recording this game. So I guess that's going to do it. That'll explain Advanced Tactics Gold. I mean, that'll explain 1939 stuff. And I don't know when we'll come back. When I have some useful updates, even if it's just updates about the war in general. But maybe there won't be any updates even for another 6 months. Now, if everything goes a year early, as it did in our case, we'll have to be ready for an attack next year. So we still have a lot of time before that comes to a head, but yeah, I guess that it's not. I don't suspect we'll be attacked anytime soon. So we might even do a little bit of headhunting in Finland. I'm actually pretty sure that can happen before the Germans invade. Anyway, I'm not going to rabble on anymore. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates. They are slow but steady, and basically just at the pace of the game we're playing. So, until the next episode, thanks for watching, and take care.